Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Committed Critics, a pop culture podcast. We're not only committed to our opinions, but also each other. Aww. I'm Kevin Lau.
I'm Ryan Davis.
And I'm Zachary Wright with...
Hi, I'm Jordan Smearman. I'm back again.
I like how we've given her the with credit or
Yes,
the and
back.
credit.
Yes.
The with, Jordan, do you want the with or the and?
Which was more
I don't know which
important?
one's better. I don't know.
You should know this, Kevin.
Hey, look, man, I don't do casting.
Come on.
like with
Danny
seems more
knows which
special.
one's more important. I think the and is more important.
I think the and is more important, like with, and then it's
It's
and
kind of
at
like the
end.
cherry on top.
Fine.
Yeah.
I'll take that one.
Okay, cool.
Take the and.
Anyway.
Me, the non-film major, just sitting here.
Yeah, anyways, speaking of with and ands, if you've seen a certain Spider-Man movie, you would know what
Who was
it's
with
kind of
and in that one?
exactly, yeah. But no spoilers, even though basically the spoilers are already out there.
Yes. correct.
But
There's also
we
30
are,
months old.
yeah. We are talking about Spider-Man, though, specifically kind of like what Spider-Man means to us and kind of like how, like what we think makes a good Spider-Man story and what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man, like his character, his origin, media representation through the years, all that jazz. If you're a huge fan of the show and listen to every episode, you might know there was an episode we did where we talked about the media rights of Spider-Man.
Yes, we did.
With Cassie and Tiffany. From Breaking to Cinema. So that's a while ago. I don't know the episode number, but it's there. This is a little bit different. It starts off with Zach. I mean, do you want to start off with what Spider-Man means to you?
Yeah, sure. So I think what Spider-Man means to me is Spider-Man is the most relatable hero because ultimately he's just a kid with a ton of responsibilities thrust upon him at a young age. Getting bit with the spider, Uncle Ben passing, et cetera, et cetera. He is taught that with great power must also come great responsibility. He has and the story is the same old. It's like a teen drama where he's got like a lot of commitments, attending college, stuff like that, where he has to like juggle being Peter Parker while also being Spider-Man. And having been a teen myself that juggled a lot of commitments and attending college amidst the pandemic and now having a full-time job as well as doing Committed Critics on the side, it's easy for me to relate to Spider-Man with the amount of responsibilities I have. That gives me the mindset to get that stuff done. Like I have been given all these responsibilities, so I have that power to get it done, you know? So it just kind of drives home that theme of like, you are your own hero. You are your own Spider-Man. Anyone can wear the mask. And like, it gives that self-empowerment that like we all really need in life, you know?
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Jordan?
Ooh, okay. Honestly, so Spider-Man means for me a way to bond with my brother. So my brother is 2 years older than me, and we've always been kind of close and stuff growing up. But we actually watched like the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie all the time. It was one of our road trip movies. And Spider-Man was and still is my brother's favorite superhero. So kind of being the younger sibling wanting to bond with him, I would go with his interests and things like that. And there's actually a picture of us where he dressed up as Spider-Man and I'm in one of his Batman costumes. And it's actually one of my favorite pictures of us when we were younger because he's doing a Spider-Man superhero pose and I'm just standing there nicely because I don't know anything about superheroes.
Hey, Zach, for the YouTube video, can you just put that photo on the screen for
10-4 will do. Yeah.
Yes. But like I didn't know really a lot about the character and what he stood for until Zach and I started dating. And but just deep down, like Spider-Man for me is just a way for me to hang out and talk to my brother. So I like his morals and things like that. But when it comes down to it, it was just it's a nice way to stay with family, I guess.
For sure.
Which is funny because Spider-Man doesn't really have a family.
Yeah, what family?
He has
parents,
Aunt
dead Uncle
May.
Ben.
His
Yeah,
friends
he's got
are his
Aunt May, that's
family.
it.
He has ones that aren't shot to death.
His friends are his family. That's
Oh yeah,
actually
it's found
canon,
family.
so.
Yeah, for sure. Kevin,
What about you,
You're
Ryan?
probably the.
Or, well, we
sorry.
can go Ryan first. Ryan, go ahead.
Oh yeah, let Ryan go first. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Spider-Man. Well, it's weird for me because I like Spider-Man because of the fact that he's one of the like first like superhero, like young superheroes who wasn't as a sidekick.
Mm-hmm.
He also like you get to see him grow in most of the series, like you get to see him start as a teenager, go to an adult. And I was thinking about it earlier today that I really like series that have kind of a quote unquote legacy to it. Whereas
Yeah.
like you watch the character grow from beginning to end. Probably why I like Invincible, why I like Injustice. Like you get to watch these characters grow into what they become. And that's kind of what Spider-Man has been throughout the years. You kind of see him like different iterations. Sometimes he gets to live all the way to old age. Other times he just kind of makes it, he just stays at kind of that middle age, like 20s, 30s or whatever. Sometimes he just stays a teenager. Sometimes he doesn't make it out of teenage life.
Sometimes he fights a dinosaur man.
Because he fights a dinosaur man. And then I kind of with Jordan, like it Spider-Man has that kind of family connection, not Peter Parker but Miles Morales, because like when Spider-Verse came out, like that was a big deal to me and my family, obviously. So like that entire movie, like my dad he loves superhero movies, but like I've never seen him like act almost like a kid doing a superhero movie except for Spider-Verse, because he was laughing his head off. He related to the dad in it so much. Like that, like Spider-Man for me is like that. It's that character that connects a lot of different people, no matter who you are. You can't really hate Spider-Man like at all, unless you're just like a terrible person.
Well,
Damn.
at least one of us has parents that like Spider-Verse.
I mean, yeah, same. My mom wasn't a fan of it. Yeah.
Both my
wow.
parents are not a fan of Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
They just couldn't get into the animation.
I'm just gonna go to my family with Miles Morales and just enjoy it.
Kevin, what about you? You're probably the most respected and biggest Spider-Man fan out of the four of us, probably. I would say.
You mean well versed?
Well versed. Push his glass up over a bridge of a nose. Let's see here. It says in quotes on your. It says in quotes on your card here, Kevin. And I quote, "Spider-Man nerd."
Yes, I see.
Sorry.
You kept my card all these years.
I did. Yes.
So basically what Spider-Man means to me is basically he is a representation of the everyman, but like in a more exaggerated form, like in the case of superheroes. He makes the same mistakes that everyone can relate to, but he achieves goals that everyone can strive to achieve. So like it's just kind of like boils down to what I like most about superheroes is that it shows that the good that people are capable of. So that's why I don't really care for like anti-heroes too much, or like
that's fair.
or like or like series that focuses on supervillains, unless it's like the story of a fallen hero with like a villain that learns to be good again, so to speak. Because I just like stories that were about good overcoming evil.
Yeah.
But with Spider-Man, it is kind of essentially like, this is an everyday person who gained so much power that he could do literally anything he wants with it, and he starts doing it the wrong way. But then he learns through like the loss of his Uncle Ben that no, like I have to use these powers responsibly. I have to use these for good and help make the world a better place because I have the power to do that. So therefore, it is my responsibility. And throughout the comic book series as well, like that people always talk to him is like, no, like, the world isn't your responsibility just because you have the power to change it. And he's like, and it's always like that moral is always questioned in the comic books. And like, even though it's presented in a way where it's like, you kind of look at the other person like, you know what? He's right. Peter, you can take a break. And then Peter's put in a situation like, no, he has to do this. Like he's the only one who can do it. So he has to do it. And then, I mean, it's kind of like not trying to be like, oh, like I'm the only person who could do things, therefore I gotta do it. It's more like, no, it's like you have to understand that like if you have the power to change something, that you should change it for the better. And that's and Spider-Man's all about that, and that's why I love him.
Nice, all very good answers, friends. Well, we have some time before the break, so I'm gonna throw in an impromptu question real fast.
Yeah.
What is your favorite incantation of Spider-Man? Or incantation?
What do you mean?
Like
casting a spell incantation?
Yes, Doctor Strange. No, favorite version of Spider-Man. So like Tom Holland, PS4, comics. Like which one?
Definitely comic books for me. Like
which
the Amazing Spider-Man. It's like the definitive Spider-Man. like I love Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man was my first Spider-Man comic. I started reading that when I was 14. The series just like it finished a couple months after I caught up with all of it.
Okay.
But yeah, no, Ultimate Spider-Man's great for like if you're wanting to read about Spider-Man but don't want to read all the old comics from like 1963. It's the best way to kind of get into it. You can read all of Ultimate Spider-Man, ignore the ending, so to speak, and then just jump into Amazing Spider-Man, and then you're fine.
Cool.
But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, comic books for me.
Ryan.
I also like the Ultimate Spider-Man series, mainly because that's the Peter's journey, and then it also goes into Miles's journey.
Right.
Because I like Spider-Verse is also really good to me, but like both of those incarnations are great. The PS4 games are great, but
For sure.
yeah,
I think the
Jordan.
PS4 games, it was like if they expand a bit more in their scope and like really like go up, like if they're able to like basically just give a whole run of a series like they do in comic books, but in video game form, I think it has the potential to be one of the best.
I think Spider-Man 2 can give like, this is a off-topic thing, but like the new Spider-Man 2 coming out in 2023, I think that can really give any video game a run for its money quality-wise. Like,
Right. In Spider-Man 2 is a wild card at the moment. It could be the step in the right direction, or it could be the step in the wrong direction. I'm pretty sure I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt, say it's going to go in the right direction, but we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Jordan?
2 words. Bully Maguire.
Oh, no. That's not where I thought that was going. Find us some shade,
right.
hot legs.
That specifically Bully Maguire, like when he has the black suit and the emo hair.
Yes. And
Kevin.
he's dancing.
Yeah.
Kevin,
Dig on
I need you to
this.
do me a favor.
Yeah.
Kevin, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Find us some shade. Thanks, hot legs.
No.
now dig
That is
on
an
this.
actual quote from the movie.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least she got $20 out of it.
She did.
Hey, you remember, Bully Maguire smacked the ever living life out of Mary Jane, though.
Yep.
Yeah, that was rough.
He did.
Which is why I was just joking.
Were you?
Yes, I was, because we all know how much I love Andrew Garfield, and I stand by this.
I'm with you, Jordan.
Oh, so good. And actually, like, Zach, before we saw No Way Home, Zach and I rewatched all of the Spider-Man movies.
I forced you to rewatch them.
You did, and actually, it wasn't bad. But like after watching The Amazing Spider-Man, because I've never seen it before, and I saw Andrew Garfield, I was like, he might be my favorite Spider-Man, and I stand by this. So, my answer's Andrew.
I'm with you.
One of my
I agree
friends
with you on that, Jordan.
Yeah.
One of my friends, she was very new to superheroes at the time of Amazing Spider-Man came out, and I was like super obsessed with it. So it was like, she was like, oh, I'm interested in watching Spider-Man. Is it good? It's like, yeah, like, it's like, you should check out Amazing Spider-Man. And she watched it, and she was like, she also became obsessed with it. And then like, that's how she started getting into comic books. So basically, Amazing Spider-Man has gotten me someone very interested in comic books to the point I think she's a bigger collector than me.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
You're up
we
next, Jordan.
I collect records. I don't collect comic books. We'd be in some deep crap if we started collecting everything.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
I'm in deep crap.
You have the space for it, though. We don't.
That's fair.
For me, my favorite inversion of Spider-Man is the PS4 versions of both Miles and Peter, just because the Peter Parker is in Spider-Man PS4 is like 8 years in Spider-Man, and you can tell like it's had its wear on him, and he's definitely like he's a veteran. He's been through this before, but he's still learning and still has to learn and grapple with new challenges, and he still has it in a very Peter Parker and Spider-Man way.
Oh, for sure. Like the line in Spider-Man PS4, the biggest like emotional thread for me was with the Otto Octavius turning evil.
Don't talk. Don't. Oh, I'm so. The very end when they're in the room and he's like, you mean everything to me, or what was the line? I always butcher it.
You were the chosen one.
No.
Exactly.
I have the high ground now. It's Peter Parker.
I think it was like you were everything I wanted to be or something like that.
Yeah,
And it was
exactly.
like, yeah. And then you knew. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is going around and seeing all like the little hints like of their relationship and how it like deteriorates as the game goes on.
Yeah, for sure. And then springboarding off of that to the Miles Morales in that universe, I enjoyed him a lot too. Like it was a different take on Miles coming off of Spider-Verse, and he's still Spider-Man in his own right and very capable. And I love the way that game feels and plays. Mechanically, it's way better than the first one.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But like it just hits with that story is so emotional, and I won't spoil it for Kevin because he hasn't played it yet. But like the ending
I don't
of
have a
that story
PlayStation
too.
5.
Yeah, sorry, rip. Kevin,
Sorry, I
I've tried
should've
so many
brought it with
times
me.
for you. I've tried.
I
so
know.
many times.
And I've tried so many times myself too. It's just impossible.
And then the end of that movie, the ending of that game hits me too. I'm just like, oh, why? So good, so good. And the colors, oh my god, the colors.
The colors. What about you, Ryan?
Do I need to go
He already
again?
answered.
Oh wait. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he answered.
I
I
guess.
mean, I'll answer. I'll clear it.
I mean,
answer.
I know you answered with alongside Jordan, but I'm not sure if you wanted your own soapbox moment.
No, he did.
You did. You went before.
I did.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I must.
yeah.
I don't know.
He started talking about
Out or
Spider Verse.
something.
Yeah, come on, Kevin. You gotta listen to your
Oh.
friend.
Kevin, you're losing your memory.
Coming
Wow.
with age.
Well, while Kevin figures out his memory issues, we'll be right back after this break.
Starting a podcast? Try a Podbean Unlimited hosting plan. It's what we use here at Committed Critics, giving us the opportunity to have our show on Pandora, iHeartRadio, and even Spotify. You can get your first month of unlimited hosting for free on us by going to podbean.com/committedcrits, just like our Twitter, or by clicking the link in the description. Podbean, the easiest, most affordable option to get started in podcasting.
Don't you wish there was a pop culture review site that appealed to cinephiles, both professional and casual? Well, look no further than crpwrites.com. New content such as movie and TV reviews, film essays, and more are released every week by writers who crave for movies like every moviegoer craves for popcorn. CRP Writes is dedicated to making sure no one is wasting time or money where they shouldn't be. After all, you have to be able to buy your popcorn and eat it too. crpwrites.com. Casual reviews with purpose since 2018.
And welcome back to Committed Critics as we continue to talk about Spider-Man and what we like about him, what makes Spider-Man cool and all that. This kind of goes with what we were talking about earlier, but like the question that we have here is which medium serves Spider-Man the best in your opinion?
Yeah.
Like we kind of talked about it a little bit before the break when we talked about our favorite version of Spider-Man, but this is more kind of like in detail of like the medium itself that you think tells the best, can tell the best Spider-Man story. Zach, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. So after No Way Home, I was on a Spider-Man binge. I was trying to inject Spider-Man into my veins.
Was?
It still is.
There you go.
I
Still
started
am?
playing.
R?
I am R currently. Am I playing Spider-Man right now as we podcast? Maybe. You won't know. You can't see my screen.
Playing it on mute but reading the subtitles.
Exactly. Even just swinging on the stage in that game. Oh my god, so good. Anyway, I replayed both of them. I replayed Spider-Man Miles Morales because it's a Christmas game and it was the holiday time. So I'm like, I'll play that first. I should just start with Spider-Man because I've just been swinging around as Peter Parker in like the old version of the game and it does not like feel as good. So after I started doing that, and then Kevin got me introduced into Ultimate Spider-Man, and I'm on an Ultimate Spider-Man binge. I think I'm on volume 4 of those big collections on Cosmexology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The big volumes
blasting
too,
through.
Kevin. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm blasting through. I'm not looking forward to when I get to those last 3 volumes I have to pay for. But yeah. And I'm cleaning. Yeah. I agree with Kevin. I agree with Kevin and Doc. Whoops.
You agree with me when I haven't said anything.
Yep. That's why
Do you
I
want
was.
do you want to put a
yep.
pin on that? We can move to Jordan.
Wait, no, let's move to Kevin. That's how it works in the doc.
Oh,
Go, Kevin,
okay,
go.
fine. All right. Yes. The medium that I think best serves Spider-Man is its original medium, comic books.
Hey, I agree with Kevin.
And then we just go back to you.
No, continue.
So, because Spider-Man, the aesthetic of Spider-Man with him swinging around the city, shooting webs and all that stuff, and like the cool poses, like it works so well in comic book form. When done right, I've seen it done wrong, but when it's done right, ooh, cream of the crop. It's and like writing as well is more impactful than you would get from a movie. But like also kind of meets there with a novel as well, where you get more direct inflection of what Peter Parker is thinking. Like Zach, you're seeing it right now in Ultimate Spider-Man. You get like his internal monologue throughout it. Like Amazing Spider-Man does that as well, which is like it's done so well in Ultimate Spider-Man. I mean, it really depends on the writer, but Ultimate Spider-Man, Brian Michael Bendis does it really well.
Bendis does it very well. Yeah,
it is the only good Bendis series. I'm telling you right now, Zach. Do not read another Brian Michael Bendis series.
I will not. You've told me that before, Kevin. I've taken that to heart.
Like even the Miles Morales Ultimate comics are pretty bad. I haven't read any with the new writers, but I know when Bendis was writing, it was pretty stiff.
Gotcha.
But yeah, video games come to a close second because they also have that inflection where you can get Peter's internal monologue, and you can have like lines and lines of Peter talking. A game that does internal monologue really well to like where it's almost as the same depth of a novel is Alan Wake, and Spider-Man PS4 doesn't have that depth yet, but it could get there. But I also think that the way video games can make it even better for Spider-Man is offering choices Telltale style to really hit home that with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Web of Shadows kind of has that alternate endings and like make your own choices deal. Web of Shadows also has like it's just a really weird game all around.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, very much so.
But I think if you have a really great polished idea and add that element to it, I think where you are Peter Parker and you have to make the hard choices. I think it could work really well. But video games aren't there quite yet. And like the stuff like that on the scale of Spider-Man games would cost a lot of money and take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like Sony would want to invest that much, but it's the idea is out there. I want it to happen.
So jumping back to me real fast to finish up my point, I agree with Kevin. That comic books that are probably the ideal realm, like where the main voice of Spider-Man lives, like you said, with the internal monologues. They're really well done and it's very deep and it has good depth in there. However, I do want to point out that a 12 to 10 hour interactive experience in the video game medium is a fantastic place where you are literally in the shoes of a Spider-Man, whether it's Miles or Peter, for example, in the PS4 games. Bouncing off Kevin's idea of having like a Telltale style game of Spider-Man, I think that'd be great in its own game, not so much in the PS4 narrative games that we have right now.
And I want to clarify too. I want it in a style where like the choices are where is like they're both like there's no like clearly right option, clearly wrong option. It's like they're both options are correct, but they both have their own pros and cons.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Wow. So as someone who's indecisive as me,
correct.
Yeah. Like if you're indecisive, you're gonna have a hard time with it. It's gonna challenge you.
Great.
I love being a Libra.
But yeah, I think that would offer a very fun way of like you said, Kevin, like having that choice, right? In the narrative games we have right now with Miles Morales and PS4 Spider-Man, I really don't think
it'll fit.
Would. Yeah, it won't fit well.
There's a continuity to it, so you would argue like what's canon, what isn't.
Right, exactly. I think that wouldn't play as well. Which I think these two games right now are perfect like iterations of Spider-Man to an extent. Because playing as Miles feels very different than playing as Peter, for example. But they still have the main heart and theme of Spider-Man, just in their own respective ways, making them making video games my personal preference for the Spider-Man medium, for example. However, you gotta shout out Into the Spider-Verse, utilizing like the fun playground of animation with rich colors. I think the runtime is only its true con because I just like selfishly want more of Into the Spider-Verse and like to live in that universe, and you can really live in that universe interactively and have hands-on as Peter Parker, where in the video game form, and then in your Telltale idea, Kevin, you would be Spider-Man, whereas in the interactive ones right now, it's you are playing as Spider-Man.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
What about you,
Next.
Ryan?
I'm okay. I've been on kind of a little bit of binge myself, but it's a different one. But I think I would like to see Spider-Man back in an animated series or something. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I know they've had some
Spider-Man?
recently.
Spectacular Spider-Man?
Spectacular
R.I.P.,
Spider-Man.
a real one.
I also like the what was the 1998
Yeah, the
Spider-Man
90s Spider-Man
animated
show,
series.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know, Kevin, you didn't like it as much, but I did enjoy parts of
I
Ultimate
like
Spider-Man.
it. It's just like it's just kind of like going back to watching it, it's like it's kind of cheesy. Like the pacing is really weird. But
Kevin,
like once
Ryan
you get
said-
once you
Ryan
What?
said Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you meant the 90s Spider-Man show.
Yeah,
Yes,
no, 90s
Ultimate Spider-Man
Spider-Man-
was not into that one.
I know the 90s Spider-Man was rough, but it had its moments. But Ultimate
Right.
Spider-Man, I know you didn't like as much. I enjoyed it up until it started getting very Disneyed. Because when they had an episode that was a crossover with Jesse, that's where I just kind of like said no.
What?
I did hear the ending was pretty
Yes.
good though.
There was literally an episode where they crossed over with Jesse, the show with Debbie Ryan and all the kids and whatever.
Nice.
Why?
So
And
did
I was
Spider-Man become animated or did it become live action?
No, Jesse
Like
became
it was like
animated.
Jesse. The characters of Jesse were animated into that
Got
universe.
it.
And I was just kind of like,
Weird.
this is the stupidest thing ever. Because they
Okay.
were still making the same little jokes that they would from Jesse, but it just doesn't work.
Look, Disney Channel just likes to crossover stuff.
Yeah, but like the reason I say this is because I find it much easier to binge 20-minute episodes rather than like hour-long things or watch a movie. Like I have to force myself, okay, I'm gonna watch a movie, or I'm gonna force myself to watch this one episode of this 45-minute thing. Whereas I feel like, all right, if you want to like just binge a whole bunch of Spider-Man content other than using a comic or just playing a video game, just watch an animated series. Just watch like 10-20-minute episodes. That's like what? Someone do math for me.
10, 20 minute
200
episodes, like
minutes.
200 minutes, so like 4 hours.
That's not too bad.
Roughly.
Yeah, that's long. That's a long movie.
That's
So-
Justice League.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like that's Snyderverse.
Snyder
But,
Cut, yeah.
but you get more stuff from it. You get a
Honestly,
whole-
Ryan, I
you get
agree
at
with you.
least-
If we had a Spider-Verse series, like the same budget, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
Oh my
Dude.
god.
I would so want a Spider-Verse series, but like that would be
The
so
organic
expensive.
web that would spray everywhere.
Well, like I think there is talks about making a series like a spin-off out of it, but like
The only problem
you know,
would be balancing all the characters and balancing the storylines and everything. Because
well, I think what they could do is make a web. So there was out of the Spider-Verse comic, there was a mini series called Web Warriors, which focused on like the Spider team that would travel to different universes to fix problems. So I think if the movies can set it up right, there could be a really good Web Warriors TV show where it's just jumping between different universes. I don't know if
Okay.
Sony wants to put in the money for that and where it would even go, but it's an idea.
as long as the one universe they travel to is the Japanese Spider-Man from like the 70s,
Stop.
or 80s,
Spider-Man!
whatever it was,
Stop.
where he had a Megazord
Did you?
and
Okay,
shot people.
there's a YouTube video going around where someone animated the Japanese Spider-Man into No Way Home. I'm not sure if you guys seen it yet, but it's really funny.
That's awesome.
I think we should rename this podcast Web Warriors.
Ooh, no, we should not.
Every episode's a Spider-Man episode.
Oh man.
Jordan,
I'm gonna
what's
make
your
you
favorite?
guys read all 800 plus issues of Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh
Oh my god, I'm down. Give it to me, coach. I'm ready. Give it to me.
Oh gosh.
Uh,
Okay.
What about you, Jordan? What do you think is the medium that best serves Spider-Man?
So I'm gonna say the movies,
Mhm.
but that's just because I haven't really read any comics besides the one issue of the night where Gwen Stacy dies,
Rip.
and then I read an issue of Spider Woman, which is the one where she's pregnant,
Gotcha.
and I read those both for a class that Ryan and I were in, and then TA'd later. So
Woo.
other than that, don't really have a lot of experience with the comics. I also haven't really
Gotcha.
played any of the games besides that one time before Zach and I were even dating, and I was playing it in Ryan's dorm, and Zach was trying to help me not die from a group of thugs,
My god, I was drunk as fuck.
and I still died. I just wanted to swing around. That was really what it is. But besides like that and all the discourse as to who the best Spider-Man is in the movies, I think it's just great to watch it on the big screen and see all the different interpretations of the character with the stories. So you have, Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi's one where it's a little more,
It's
the
very
original
comic booky.
60s. Yeah.
and then you have the Amazing Spider-Man, and now you have MCU Spider-Man, which is, kind of doing its own thing. And I think it's just really cool to kind of see it, like even if some of the movies aren't always the best, and some of them are kind of cringe. like Bully Maguire. But like there's still, I don't know, it's still kind of fun to watch and still kind of see a Spider-Man movie, especially like with the Tobey Maguire ones coming out right before, way before the MCU was really even thought of, or it probably was thought of, but it wasn't in production yet. Like it was just, it's cool to see that how that has had an impact on like superhero movies and just movie culture. So I
for
think,
sure.
I think it's something to just kind of keep in mind. It's probably not the best Spider-Man medium, but I still think it's had a big cultural impact.
It's the biggest, most impact and most digestible.
For sure.
All right.
On that notes, we have our final thoughts. Specifically, what is your favorite part about Spider-Man? Like and for example, my favorite part of Spider-Man is like, the quips that he makes, the drama, and usually how he promotes finding solutions through the scientific method. Because like at his core, Peter Parker is a scientist.
Yeah.
So like the movies don't really
scientist himself.
Yeah, the movies don't really focus on that too much, except for Amazing Spider-Man. But like in the comics, it's a huge deal where it's like when he comes across a villain and he doesn't know how to beat it, he has to use a scientific method to find a solution of like, okay, what is the weakness? What can I do to like take him down? So on and so forth. What are you, Ryan?
I like the fact that Spidey has branched out. Like the fact that basically the entire multiverse revolves around Spider-Man because of that's
he sells the most comics.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, but like
that's why.
Oh, it's all connected through a web. The universe is a web.
A web of money.
I'm like, okay, cool. But I do like the fact that they've branched out. I like the fact that they've had different characters be quote unquote a spider, whether it's, Peter or Miles or Gwen or a damn pig. Like it's been like they've made him a different, like they made Spider-Man a unique character, and it's not just, the same character we've seen from day one. He's grown from what he originally was.
For sure. What about you, Zach?
My favorite part of Spider-Man is ironically the theme from Into the Spider-Verse, which is like anyone can wear the mask, like which isn't like 100% a Spider-Man theme, obviously. But however, it plays back into the idea of like me relating to Spider-Man on a personal level and makes the character that more special. And Spider-Man is also just naturally creative, funny, super high stakes at times, making that hero's journey even more richer, but also like even more personal when he's just like, I just want to go to class. I just got to do homework. Like still all the normal teen woes, but like contrasted against like, oh my God, this giant lizard monster is taking over the city. Like stuff like that. But yeah.
Jordan. What about you, Jordan?
My favorite thing about Spider-Man is that Andrew Garfield played him.
It's 30/90.
No, actually, with all jokes aside, my favorite part is that he always tries to see the good in people and tries to do the right thing, even if or the right thing in that moment. That's just something that I've actually always tried to do in my life. Even before I started learning more about Spider-Man. And when I learned that he does that too, it was just kind of nice to actually see that and to really relate to a hero, whether or not I was been bitten by a radioactive spider or I'm just me.
Yeah, relating to their morals. Nice.
Yeah, so it's just that's my favorite part. It's just seeing that morals. Like I'm not, like I don't have to be a rich person. I don't have to be super smart. Like I can just be a good person and use that to benefit the city.
None of the power, all the responsibility.
Exactly.
On that note, we're going to close on out, but I want to say that we are using a new format this year. We're going to kind of mixing with what we've been doing the past few episodes, as well as going back to our roots of challenging each other to watch or read stuff that we haven't watched or read before. So first up, I'm going to choose you guys to watch The Matrix, the first one from 1999. I know it like has 1999.
Yeah. It's as old as me.
I thought it was like in the early 2000s.
Nope.
Like I thought it was like 2003
technically,
or 4.
it is somewhere around there. It was. So here's the thing: The Matrix was so ahead of its time. So like you watch it and compare it to other 1999 movies. Like this is not the same year, but it is.
Like I threw in the category with some 80s movies, and Kevin was like, "No, it's a 1999 movie." I was like, "Oh shit, you right?"
My dad thought it was from the 80s too. It was like, no, it's
me.
19.
Yep.
No, so the recently the Matrix Resurrections came out. I absolutely love it. It's very divisive. I I'm not going to force you guys to watch it because it is a divisive movie. But The Matrix is a very digestible movie that I know there's like a lot of culture around it saying like, oh, it's so confusing and all that. It's not. Like if you understand the concept of VR, you're good. Because back in 1999, VR was not a thing.
Oh.
No one knew what VR was. So it's got basically kind of like The Matrix kind of like aged into pop culture. Like pop culture caught up to The Matrix more than The Matrix like becoming relevant again. I feel like I'm
Now
phrasing it
everyone
wrong,
thinks
but
they're in a simulation.
yeah.
We got the metaverse now, so
Walmart.
Don't.
Well, Facebook is making their new Oculus something special, I think.
great.
They scrapped an upgrade idea, and then they're going to take a different route. So who knows what that is?
I don't know.
Pods, call them now.
Oh,
But yeah, so you guys, watch The Matrix. It's about 2 hours. It's on HBO Max, but it's very fun times. Got Keanu Reeves in it. Carrie-Anne Moss is one of Keanu Reeves' best performances, and it's just a lot of
It's got
fun.
Lawrence Fishburne.
It does have Lawrence Fishburne. It's really cool, really iconic. Also, it's Hugo Weaving. He was Red Skull in the MCU.
Oh, okay.
And Megatron.
And Megatron.
And Megatron.
You know that, Zach. You know Megatron.
Bring me the cube, boy.
On that note, if you want to hear the rest of our thoughts on other topics, tune into our full episode over on Patreon. Just a link to that is below in the description. You can follow us on Twitter at Committed Critics, that's COMMITTEDCRITS, and on YouTube at Committed Critics. Spelled the same there it is here, everywhere else. And also, if you want to see the photo of Jordan and dressed up as Batman. You can also follow us on TikTok. What is our TikTok at,
It's
Jordan?
the same as Twitter.
Yep.
So Committed Crits.
Yes.
COMMITTEDCRITS.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. If you want to see some fire TikToks,
You can also
Over
see the
there.
picture of me when I was a young Batman.
is fire the adjective to use for TikToks? I'm not part of that
Just to
culture.
update y'all, the at for the TikTok is at Committed Critics.
Oh,
Oh, it's the full Committed Critics.
Full Committed Critics. Yep.
oops.
All right. So Zach, when I say Committed Crits, I need you to just put your voice clip right there.
Okay, I'm gonna go Committed Critics.
Yeah. The special thanks to our current patrons: Davey Peppers from Game Mechanics, Ryan Kowalkowski from Ryan Plays Drums, Andy Phillips from Andy Phillips, Jody Wright, and Devin Vonderhyde. And we will see you in 2 weeks.
Woo!
Bye.